All right, I'm back. What are we talking about now, Jodah?
Dan, we're talking about very important things.
Oh, I hope they're important. I think we just lost about 10 million viewers.
Yeah, probably. Yep.
I'm sorry. We only get like 5 views a episode.
That's like, we're actually sucking viewers.
Some opium there. That wine went to my head.
We have negative viewers. Oh my, what the hell does that even mean?
We should get some AI bots to watch our show. That's what we should do.
Well, you know what?
That's a whole business.
We talked about why people want AI in our business the other day, and I said, I just want more friends. I don't have enough, and I think AI is going to help.
I want an AI bot friend.
I like a lot. Too. A lot of AI bot friends. I could have a lot of friends if once AI kind of gets rolling, you know.
Well, I know you have an article you want to talk about. I was just going to say I did a solo episode a while ago. I was talking about dead people AI bots, right?
Of course.
Someone posted in the comment section about he lost all faith in humanity once he heard his roommate listening to an Alan Watts bot on YouTube asking people to bang the subscribe button.
An Alan Watts AI. Oh my! All right, yeah.
Smash that subscribe button.
The world is going to be a weird place. All right, so HBR. They had an article.
Business Journal.
Harvard Business School. They had an article a couple months ago.
Terrible publication, folks.
Terrible. They had an article called "Reskilling in the Age of AI," and the reason why we're bringing this up, because you know what, we're talking politics these days. We're in a political arena at this moment. It's not. We know it's going to be ugly. It's going to get uglier as we get through.
Why is it going to get ugly?
Probably Satan's going to show up at some point in time. Maybe. I think. I don't know. We'll find out.
We will.
But
no, it's going to be a nightmare.
All possible. Yeah, exactly. There's no limit to the horror that might occur as we move forward. Hopefully, but hopefully, humanity will have better sense and we'll be able to calm.
We will survive unless there's World War III.
But what are they not talking about at all? They're talking about war. They're talking about how one person tried to steal an election. They're talking about how race is horrible. But what they're not talking about is AI and its effect on our industry, on the world, on labor.
Actually, it's almost like AI has faded away into the background, right? It's almost eerily quiet.
Very much so. And the fact of the matter is, companies are very much still investing in AI. It's a hot topic in organizations. They're talking about it. It's a thing. And so this article is called Reskilling in the Age of AI. It's written by Jorge Tamayo, Leila Dumi, Sagar Goel. Oh my gosh. You know what? Just go to Harvard Business Review, Reskilling in the Age of AI.
How about this, Jodah? Why don't you rehearse people's names before you get on this?
I wouldn't even want to rehearse the guy's name. Or so the Kovac.
Come on, man. Do your homework.
Even happen. Sorry, Osilia. I can't remember.
You should apologize. Just like Mark Zuckerberg. You should apologize to the victims whose names you've butchered.
Jeez, man. You make a great politician.
I would. I'd be great.
You and your virtueness. All right.
I'll virtue signal with the best of them, but
So they bring up 5 general topics that they're thinking that there are 5 things that this article suggests that organizations need to take into consideration moving forward to help their workforce and their organization address this AI renaissance. Not renaissance. AI.
Renaissance. I guess it is. Well, it's been around a while, so you could probably call it a renaissance.
No, it's not a renaissance. All right. Well, anyways, so these are the 5. Reskilling is a strategic.
Before we go into your 5 things about why should we be worried about reskilling people in the age of AI? Because I do think the writer had some data, right? Like people are going to lose their jobs if they don't get reskilled. That's the heart and soul of it, right?
That is, it's not the heart and soul. The heart and soul is reskilling, but the driving thing, as they said, within 15 to 20 years, 14% of the world's jobs will be eliminated, which is Actually, not as bad as I was kind of
Yeah,
expecting.
no, that seems like reasonable.
And then within
with 14%, you're
we're
on
you're still talking about
unemployment,
millions of jobs, and then
and it's going to
eliminate,
create new jobs too, right?
and
I mean,
then
that's
jobs will, and then what is it? World's jobs will be limited, and then 32% will be radically transformed. And the transformed is probably the interesting one. Like, what does that even mean exactly? You know, so just taking it for granted that AI is going to have a heavy impact on the organizations that we work in. These are the 5 things that they suggest that we need to consider. We need to have reskilling be a strategic imperative, where they're suggesting that it right now is not. It's an HR thing, and
we know how functional HR is.
Sure.
They are the best. They are the best organizations, best department in any organization is human resources.
I totally agree.
We all know this.
And I know there's no cynicism in them at all. Reskilling is the responsibility of every leader and manager. Number 2. Number 3, reskilling is a change management initiative.
Ooh, there's the word.
Dan Tarker.
Change management. Everyone's favorite weasel word.
Employees want to reskill when it makes sense. So obviously you got to find some alignment, get them to understand why this is happening. And then reskilling takes a village.
Okay.
All right. Dan, you're a dean of at a school, and you've got a lot of people that work for you or work under you. How are you thinking about this AI thing and what I just mentioned? Or do you think about reskilling?
I do. I mean, I was one of the
employees?
first people at my college to be like, "Hey, we need to be paying attention to AI." I have done some workshops on artificial intelligence for staff. It's interesting. A lot of people are feels like, I can't say really burying their heads in the sand around it, but very, I don't know, depending on what campus, well, my understanding, talking to colleagues, depending on what college you work on, different levels of engagement on it. I did just join a district-wide strategic task force to look at AI. So I'll be attending my first meeting for that next week. But it's interesting. I was talking to a colleague about it who I've been talking about with AI. We've been talking about AI since, they started, because they started at this time, AI kind of started to emerge, or at least ChatGPT. And we're like, it's kind of weird. It has faded into the background a little bit. And is it going to be one of those, is AI going to turn out to be kind of one of those Y2K moments, right? Like, everyone got alarmed about Y2K, but it turned out to be a big nothing burger. Is the same thing going to happen to AI? I don't know. I mean, because you can see changes happening, like in Zoom, for instance. The new summary feature in Zoom is pretty powerful. I mean, it's not entirely accurate. You definitely need to proofread it. So it can't actually be as time consuming to proofread the Zoom AI bots meeting notes as it is just to take your own meeting notes. But that will improve over time. So I do think it's something that we need to be paying attention to, and I think upskilling and getting people the professional development they need is going to be important. And I think it's also an opportunity for colleges, too, who are facing enrollment challenges, to be looking toward the future and identifying the ways people do need to be upskilled or reskilled, and what kind of new jobs are going to emerge out of the AI marketplace.
So you agree that with their first point, that reskilling should be definitely a strategic imperative.
Well, I mean, we've seen this before. I mean, we saw this in the Great Recession, too, right? People lost their jobs in the Great Recession. They all came back to school, got reskilled, went into other industries. There was a big a change in occupation pursuits due to the Great Recession. We'll continue to see disruptions like that. This one just happens to be caused by artificial intelligence.
Well,
before we see the impact of AI,
I actually don't even think that. I actually think that my personal opinion is that this is a little different, because AI does have AI in the sense of this a thing that we think can behave like a human being has the possibility of substituting for human behaviors that would normally be required.
Can it substitute for human behaviors? I don't think so.
I will. I just.
It does not have an amygdala.
This is just my
it does
opinion.
not have a limbic system. It is not a human being. It will never reach consciousness.
Okay, so, hold on. So my thinking here is.
Did you spill beer on yourself, Jodah?
I did. Yeah.
Knew it.
So strategic.
Jodah wet himself.
You and I have had this conversation. Yeah, I won't be standing up anytime soon. So we've talked about. So this concept of reskilling a strategic imperative. I feel like that actually that sort of goes beyond this AI concept, because you and I have talked with previous guests. This notion of that you go learn your skill and then stop learning. And that's so last century, I think, in general.
Yeah,
I think that it's really just part of this modern world that we're all knowledge workers, and I think that's what we need to train people to be, is that their knowledge, that we are going to need your knowledge, and
right.
This
and
notion
we're all
that
lifelong learners, as they say, lifelong
and
learners.
Organizations should embrace that concept, and so that's what they're kind of leaning in on, right? Is that
which is a cultural shift for most organizations?
It's a total cultural shift. In fact, Amazon just recently helped thousands of employees who initially had little experience in machine learning become experts in the field through their own internal structure. So companies are starting to learn that, let's build learning into our organization. Let's make it part of it, not some sort of checkbox, not some sort of piece that's just on the side, but let's actually integrate it. And then it's becoming a strategic sort of an actual value proposition for the employees. Hey, come and learn with us, grow with us, right? You're not just producing. And so I think yes, I agree with that, but I think it actually transcends AI. I think that's the world we're in now, right?
Yeah, I agree. And as somebody who one of the hats I wear is running professional development at my college, and yeah, I think you have to be strategic and build that into the culture. Make it a culture of inquiry, a culture of learning, of continual professional development. But that takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of financial investment. It's not cheap to do, and it is a cultural change. And I talk to a lot of other people, even outside higher education, who are in the development, professional development areas of their industries. And across the board, I mean, it's not something that most industries invest a lot in. They're kind of like the last people to get the budget or whatever, the budget money to do things. So we've got to change that going forward. So yeah, no, I agree. I mean, for sure, with the rise of AI, we need to be upskilling people, reskilling people, and helping them make sense of why that needs to happen. Because like we're seeing right now, where it seems like it's faded into the background, well, it hasn't, but it has faded in the background. Let me scratch that. It has faded in the background, but you're seeing it crop up in little different areas. Like I mentioned Zoom earlier, PowerPoint, you're seeing it in the Microsoft products, which we predicted on the Jack Wang episode. Like you can go in now, and if you click on an image and you want to do alternate text to make it more accessible, it will auto-generate an interpretation of that image for you, so you don't have to write it all yourself, and it's pretty accurate.
Yeah,
so
it's pretty amazing. We've been reviewing some tools at our work as well, and it's pretty amazing. I mean, it's got its issues, but you can definitely see with tweaking and stuff, this stuff is going to make some of the employees' lives a lot easier. What about this reskilling change management initiative? What does that trigger? What does that suggest to you, other than change management? Just words.
Yeah, I mean, the Harvard Business Review, I think, is a rag anyhow. And I think a lot of our leadership conversations that are led by magazines and stuff like that are kind of hollow. Change management, what is that really? I mean, where we're at right now, we're constantly dealing with change management. I mean, that's just the change management's become the normal.
What do you mean by that? You're constantly... Are you
because
doing
the
it well?
environment's constantly changing.
Are you doing well? That's there's changing environments. Doesn't mean that you're managing it.
Well, if you're not, then we'll see what happens, right? But I think if you're a decent leader or manager or whatever you want to call it, you're the head of a unit or organization. You have to be thinking about change management all the time.
Yeah,
that's just the new normal.
It is. Well, under this change management, they made comments. They were basically suggesting, this article suggests that, for you to really embrace this change management, you got to get middle managers on board. again, this is getting it out of the HR world, right? Getting it into the.
So I'm going to disagree with that. I think probably middle managers are going to be more open to that. It's the top executives who control the purse strings.
It says that too. Oh no, it says that too. It says you need to have the executives be promoting it. They have to be talking about it. The executives be going, you know what? You can learn on our dollar. Because right now, historically, it's like learn, but on your own time. Or shove it in between what you actually have to do, which means you're just going to be working extra hours. No, it should be integrated into their actual work dynamic. So it does say that, but then it goes say that then get the middle managers, because they have, we're talking about product development and kind of that space. They have a return on investment of their employees that they have to contend with, and having them go take a class might not actually align with what they're going to be judged against by the end of the quarter. So you have to make sure that there's an alignment there as far as those numbers match, right? So,
yeah. Make it part of their plan for their annual.
You have to. So that's what they mean by getting managers online. And the other thing, and I want to get your thoughts on this, they suggest under the change management concept is that they said you want to understand the supply and demand of the needed skills, not roles. What does that mean to you when I say that?
Well, I mean, there's gonna figuring out, talking to industry, talking to people in the know who would know this information, what kind of skills are emerging that will be in demand, not necessarily the roles, because the skills can apply to multiple different roles over the course of your career, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So what are those discrete skills that we need to be training people on?
It actually suggests that companies really create a skills taxonomy.
Interesting.
A detailed description of the capabilities needed for each needed occupation to get alignment with the leaders. And then once you get that understanding of the skills, then you know what you actually need. So they actually go so far as to say, you don't have your org chart. Yes, you got an org chart, but you should actually have a skills chart as well, a taxonomy of the skills that are needed. So then you can actually go. And then that means when you're actually going to go, well, let's move to the fourth one. Employees want to reskill. When you want to reskill your employees, you can give them a target. Hey, we need this stuff over here. If you take these classes, we can get you over here, and maybe or maybe it's an advancement or something like that. So yeah, I found that interesting. So
I'd be interested to see what that skills taxonomy is, and
it'd be. I think it's an effort. It would be something.
I think it would be an effort, but I would be interested to see that and compare it to personality traits and see what's more important. The skills are a fit with, for certain roles or for certain types of jobs with certain personality traits.
What do you mean by that? How do you mean?
Well, someone who is. Because you can always upskill pretty quickly in this day and age, right? I mean, there are some things that are very complex that you need to spend a lot of time with. But for the most part, if you're already in the field, you're going to have enough background knowledge to be able to add additional skills pretty quickly. But sometimes
I'm going to disagree with that, but we'll say, yeah. I'm not going to be able to upscale to become a...
No, I'm saying if you're already working in a certain field... Right? It's not, you're making incremental jumps from one position to another. They don't tend to be completely drastic. Right? Am I wrong about that? I mean, no, Jodah, you're not going to go from a UX designer to a nuclear physicist.
Right.
So that would be a whole different That's more than skill upskilling. That's a whole educational pathway and training curriculum and knowledge acquisition thing, right?
But let me pause you there. So this article is saying that we're going to lose jobs, right? So I think they are suggesting that to some degree, some of the upskilling will be actually sort of career changing.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, for sure that will be, but I don't know. I just think when I think of skills, I think of how to do an Excel spreadsheet or how to design a PowerPoint. I'm just grabbing some low-hanging fruit.
No. See, that's staying within. I agree that truly is, and that sort of. But what I think this is suggesting is that because of these external things that are occurring, they're changing the dynamics of what labor looks like. it won't, you actually will have to do significant skill upgrading. It's not going to be just getting
then maybe we
Excel
can
spreadsheet better.
critique the language of skill, because I think if it's that significant, it's going beyond just skills changing. But I mean, we're getting too far into the weeds on this. Yes, we need to be helping folks be able to retrain for the changing environment, and upskilling and reskilling. Executive leaders need to be involved, middle managers need to be involved, and it's all about change. And we need to be surveying the environment to figure out what those skills look like that folks need to have.
Yes, absolutely. And I really like the impetus of the notion of drop. I mean, I get the idea of roles, but they become shorthand for unsuccessful alignment of skills against certain things. And I've seen that time and time again. And again, especially in today's world when things move and shift so fast, you know, the idea, I would love to see the internal mechanisms of an organization switch around the idea of identifying. I liked your idea about personality traits is one, and they actually do bring that up. You got to make sure you find people who are willing to learn, but other kind of personality traits. And then against the actual skill set, just because my role says I'm the director of lighting doesn't mean I'm also not really good at a forklift. And so there is identify these skills for one reason or another.
So this morning, Joe, you're going to design the lighting for this Broadway musical, and then you're going to go down the street and drive a tractor for...
I could be like working for the Army, like Army Reserve, and for whatever reason, in the Army Reserve, I'm a forklift driver. I don't know. You know, who knows what's generating my skill set? You know, there's all sorts of skills that one has and that you've picked up through work. I guess
with the personality traits, I was thinking, well, what's going to be the bigger predictor of success? If you come in with low skills in one area and you get hired into a job, but you're a very conscientious person, you know, and maybe neuroticism. I have a little bit of neuroticism too, so you're you're hyper fixated on details and getting it right. You could be very successful at that role, even though you might not have initially gone in with adequate training or the skill set.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think we're coming to close here. Before we do final wrap up, I just want to say the number 4 was the employees want to reskill when it makes sense. And
sense making and sense giving, folks. Sense making and sense giving.
So design programs for employees from their point of view, right? So they're saying that it's important that change is not easy. It's scary. And to what we were just saying before, if we are asking you to say, hey, you know what, your position actually as this thing is kind of changing radically, and a lot of your efforts are going to be can be done now with this thing and this thing and this thing, but we don't want to lose you. We love your personality. We love what you do. We love who you are. We love what you bring. We need these skills over here, and we'd like you to start learning this stuff.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a real thing. I can see where that will happen.
Yes, and so be empathic on that, and give them, let them know where they're going, because it's the ambiguity is what really takes them out of gets them scared, concerned, demoralizes them.
That's change leadership 101. That's adaptive leadership right there. Recognizing that any change is going to stir up fear in the individual because people don't like change.
That's right.
And as a leader, one of your primary jobs is to make sense of the world for yourself and go through a sense-making process, and then to give sense to others through a sense-giving process so that they develop an understanding of why decisions are being made, why this or that is happening, and that will relieve anxiety in the long run.
A lot. And remember, it's we define ourselves often by what our work is and was. And so when you're asking somebody to go do something that's not what they've done, you're kind of asking them to redefine themselves. And we all know
grieving process that they have to go through.
Exactly. And it's an almost impossible task for those who are change, who are reluctant to change. It's tough. So have some empathy, meet them there, go to them and let them know and be there. You just can't just hoist it on. You will have horrible attrition. So anyways,
so my thing is, I'm just going to go and tell everyone you're getting retrained because I'm going to eliminate your job if you don't.
that,
Suck it up,
and then
Buttercup.
there is that too. There's for sure 100%. And goddamn, I'm so glad I don't work for you. So that's all
right. I'm a nightmare. Suck it up, Buttercup. That's what
All
I
right,
want
final
growing up.
thoughts, Mr. Tarker, Mr. Compassionate.
All right, if you like this episode, please hit the subscribe button and hit the like, share with your friends, leave a comment. And remember, everybody, suck it up, Buttercup.
Oh, God.